Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name is Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and the tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. All right, welcome everybody. How you doing out there this afternoon? Goodness gracious. Trelvis, welcome to you, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Oh, man, we just killed it. Having a great week, and I'll tell you, it's been fun.
Yes,
I think I went back to my allergist, got the cough fixed, so we're not going to have that.
Okay, so we won't have a cough.
You don't have to worry about that, right? None of that problem. And hey, by the way, I have in addition to, I'm super stoked to have here today, and we're going to hear from our $1 million producer and team leader, Patricia Kiteke. She's up in Victoria, British Columbia. She's going to be coming in live here in just 1 second. And boy, it's amazing. Trelvis, we're going to learn how she's been able to double her business every year for the past 3 years. And I'm telling you what, this agent is somebody that you're going to really want to stay around and meet. Unbelievable talent and team up in kind of the west side of Canada up there, up near Bellingham, Washington, which is near the headquarters of our brokerage. Nice. By the way, I want to introduce everybody. This may be the first time that you've seen this face on our show here, but we've got my son, Cliff Freeman III, affectionately known as C3, because I'm C2, he's C3. And I want to welcome you to the show. Super stoked that you're here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, yeah. And Trelvis, he was out. He hits the golf sticks around a little bit and played a little college golf. And and he had the opportunity. Let's see, you got out on a pretty nice track last Tuesday, 2 days ago, right? Tell us a little bit about that. Where were you playing?
Yeah, I got the opportunity to play at a place called Preston Trails, and
really nice.
It's definitely one of a kind. And I had the honor to play with Grace Bridge, which is a charity nonprofit. And they do a lot of work for children around the United States. And I thought it was a great benefit to be able to hang out with them and spend some time with that caliber of a person.
Yeah, so, and actually cool. you bumped into somebody coming out of the restroom in there, right? Who was that?
Yeah, bumped shoulders with Lee Trevino.
Lee Trevino,
cool,
man, that's crazy.
Lee Trevino, who is he exactly?
Oh, he's a pretty good old golfer from the Dallas area.
Okay, really nice.
He used to take a broom handle and a Coke bottle, and he'd tape the Coke bottle on the end of the broom handle and play for money out at Tennyson Park, and he'd hit the ball with a Coke bottle, and that's no kidding.
That's great.
All right, so audience out there, hey, listen, you want to stick around for the entire show, because what I have for you for Cliff's notes today is I've got this secret cheat sheet here, and this has been key to my business and to my coaching business. What we're going to do is we're going to take you through the importance of understanding someone's disc profile and how you can use that knowledge to be able to close deals. This will be in the vault in Cliff's notes at the end of the show. I promise you're going to want to stick around and get the keys to unlock the vault so you can see that. But in the meantime, enough about that. I am, just like I said, so excited and absolutely, and this is our first remote broadcast. This is the first time we're doing this internet. Not only is it remote, but it's international. And boy, look at there. And there's Patricia Kiteke. Patricia, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you.
Cliff, thank you for having me. I'm totally pumped to be here, and I'm really excited that I get to talk to you. You've been a great coach and mentor of mine for some time now, so I can attest to how much you like to help folks and give people the right tools to grow their business. So I'm really excited.
Well, I can appreciate that. And you know, I went back and looked at my notes, and I think that the first time you and I were ever on a coaching call together was back in May of 2016. Does that ring a bell?
Something like that. Yeah, it does. It
And
does.
I think
Totally. It seems like a lifetime ago, but yeah.
I'm telling you, well, gosh, time flies, and you've done amazingly well. And as I was going through our notes on that first call, one of the first things that we talked about was the DISC assessment. And personality profiling, and we're going to get to that here in just a little bit. But boy, you and I and your partner and significant other Greg, we have had just some really excellent times together. I'm so proud to have been a part of your business. I mean, you have just totally been a coach's dream client, and I say that because you listen and you implement, and you're really very coachable. And one of the benefits of that to people who are considering a coach is we kind of grade ourselves as coaches on the outcome and how much that's had an impact on your business. So let's take it back to when you and I first started. If I'm correct and not losing my mind at this age, I think that we have been pretty successful at doubling your business every year for the last 3 years. Is that those numbers resonate with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So you're now doing over $1 million. Will you take us back a little bit and you know, when you decided to pursue a coach, you had a lot of things going. You were already a great independent agent with a local brokerage up there in Victoria. Tell us what was going through your mind when you were just considering a coach and why you were considering a coach.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I was already, I had been doing real estate for a few years, and yeah, I was kind of plugging along and having kind of moderate success, but I was hitting the same numbers and the same things year over year. So I wasn't really able to kind of like break through that ceiling or get to the next level on my own. So it felt like no matter what I was doing, I was still hitting the same numbers year over year in some kind of variation. Maybe it was higher sales volume or, a few more deals that year, but I wasn't really able to break through, and I wasn't able to create something that could work while I wasn't working. So it was still very much that treadmill of like, I got to get out there and chase my month every single month.
I recall one of the challenges initially with a lot of clients I work with is to get you off of that transaction treadmill and really start to put life back into life, right? I mean, the balance of the 5 equities of life is really key to your success. And, I just recall you were implementing systems, and I've always said, and I say this just about on every show, that in order to really crush it in this business, you've got to be really good at 2 things. And Patricia, you remember what these are. One is time management. You got to be a ninja time manager, and you have done an exceptional job of that. And the second thing is, and Greg has helped a lot with this, is that you guys have implemented like ninjas. I mean, you guys have been the best implementers that I've ever seen. Talk a little bit, if you would, share with the audience what we were able to create for you to generate leads. And right now we're generating hundreds of leads for you a month. Yeah. And how has that helped you grow your business?
Well, so generating a large number of leads, it enabled us to start reaching out and bringing people onto the team. And it enabled us to start sharing what we had built with other agents who maybe were kind of stuck on their own transaction treadmill. So when we were generating more leads than than I could personally handle as a solo agent, then it made sense to actually go out and start hiring people and bringing people on board to help and creating that leverage, so that it wasn't just, me and my own efforts or, me and Greg's efforts anymore. It was starting to become a little company at that point.
Right. Well, a little company. So what comes with building a little company is you've got more business to handle. You now are, transitioning out of, just being a solo practitioner into a business owner, which means now you've got hiring, you've got lead conversion issues. And we've spent a great deal of time, effort, and energy on helping you guys become really at the top of your game. in lead conversion. Talk to us a little bit about what that journey has been through for you. I know that when we first got started, we had some stumbles because we just didn't know what we didn't know as a team until we got people on board. Right. But walk us through a little bit, if you would. I know that people out there in the audience would love to hear some of the things that have happened. Let's just face it, we've had some failures, but they really weren't failures. It was just opportunities for feedback. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you blew through it?
Absolutely. So, I mean, first off, you use this term, Cliff, all the time, and I thought it was a really good term, is you go from being a solo agent to kind of hitting this stage where you get a bit of messy middle, because now you're a company owner, you're a CEO, you're trying to train other people, show them how you do things. And then at the same time, you're also still doing business and working in the business as well. So there's a lot of parts that go to that. And I mean, you kind of brought up disc profile earlier, and I think that that's brilliant, because the coaching and the mentorship that we got with you really let us know what our key hires should be, what order we should be hiring these people in. Because I think a lot of the fear for people comes from like, oh my God, I've opened up these floodgates. I've got way more leads than I can handle. Now I got to hire a bunch of people. And so, it was kind of wading through the messy middle step by step and making sure like the right things were happening at the right times was really important. And so, making your crucial first hire, that was a really big step. It freed up so much time. It allowed me to time block and really focus on, get a whole bunch of things off of my plate that were not the highest and best use of my time, and then focus on the things that were the highest and best use of my time while, still selling real estate as well on a day-to-day. So every step of the way, you learn that. So like every time you outgrow yourself a little bit, you could see that as a failure, but really it's an opportunity to level up. And if you figure that out fast enough, and if you fail fast enough and more times, then you can figure out where you need to level up, where you need to bring on help, what you need to automate, what you need to leverage, and just push past it.
That's it. Yeah. And boy, you're really good at pushing past it. So that first key hire that you made was at the administrative level. I mean, Tammy has been just amazing. And she has really, when we look, I think that I mentioned to you that when you first brought her on, I said, look, tell her this. I said, tell her you've got just enough money to pay her for the first 90 days. And if she doesn't figure out a way to put another 10 hours in your calendar, that you're not going to be able to pay her after that, and see how she does. And boy, she responded. She got up and just started jamming and really taking things off your plate. And that was great. So that was a really big key hire. What about on the sales side? Talk to us a little bit about how you've been able to build, now that you've got the operations side of it down, running like a well-oiled machine. How about the sales side? How's that working for you?
And the sales side is a totally different beast. So the sales people have totally different challenges than the admin's going to have. And salespeople have to, they've got the challenge of being in front of people and constantly being publicly facing. So I think it was, really showing people how they could convert, how they could build stronger connections, how they could relate and gain a rapport with a large number of people. And I think for salespeople, the biggest challenge is how to balance life with, constantly needing to pick up the phone, constantly needing to be there for people, but then also having to time block time in their schedule to follow up, make sure you're making the right amount of contacts per week, make sure you're not wasting your time showing a whole bunch of houses to people who haven't been properly pre-qualified. And as salespeople, we tend to be like fire marshals. We just want to get out there, get things going really quickly. And, it's a reminder that, you got to be quick, but you also got to take a minute and do things properly so that you can fit all your key activities into a day, because you're not sitting in front of a computer. As a salesperson, your car is your mobile office sometimes.
Well, that's exactly right. And so that's a great segue into another, and I'm sorry, my ear got too big for the headphones here because the headphones are in my ear. So that really is a great segue into this whole office thing. And I guess, how long has it been? About a year and a half. You decided that you needed to make a move. We talked about it. We even partnered at a deeper level, and you and I got together under one umbrella. And it was at that point where this whole notion of an office became, the question, right? And so the idea behind where we are now is that we're virtual. And we believe that the real estate business can be operated virtually, and that these big monuments that brokers build to themselves, known as market centers, are really unnecessary because they're empty most of the time. And people who really do have teams want to move the heck out of there because they don't want all the new agents running around coattail coaching, trying to get coattail coaching and catch them in the bathroom or in the coffee room on break and ask them how the heck they got so good, right? And how they're doing this and doing that. So typically the big teams will have offices that nobody else can get into for that reason. But what we did is we looked at this and said, there's an advantage for us here. We looked at this platform and we said, you know what? Because I know that deep down you guys wanted to really grow and you had aspirations of growing outside of your geographic footprint there in Victoria. And so what we've done is we've been able to open those doors and take down the barriers that have occurred in the past. So can you speak to the audience a little bit and kind of share with them your thoughts on the benefits of the change that you made about a year and a half when you decided that it was appropriate to look at a different way to set up your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, being virtual, you're right, is huge for a number of reasons. One thing is that once you figure out the models, our CEO of our brokerage, Glenn Sanford, said, if you're solving problems, solve for 100 times the problem that you have, and it will truly be scalable if you can do that. And so the physical model just doesn't allow you to do that. I mean, if you wanted to grow a giant team, you'd have to actually, if you're bricks and mortar, you'd have to actually get in and out of office spaces to be able to grow. So that's one thing. And growing beyond the geographical model is perfect. Like, we've got an agent up in Nanaimo. She's able to participate in all the training. She's able to come to all the office meetings. She's able to be a part of the team and the culture. She doesn't have to come down to Victoria. I mean, it's a 2-hour drive for that particular market center. It also allowed us to get, people like you involved. I mean, I know our team talks to you at least once a month, and you're able to coach and train us all the way from Texas. So there's no more boundaries or borders. And if somebody in your market area doesn't have something that you need, you can go anywhere across North America and get what you need and collaborate with the top people across North America. I know some of the teams in our brokerage that we look up to are in Vancouver. There's opportunity to mastermind. There's opportunity to share ideas and share best practices and things that we're using and technologies with each other. And, we can do it just like this.
Well, that really opens up a whole new thought about a real estate business and a team. And you and I have had this conversation numerous times about we no longer need to think of the team that's in our little box here. What we need to do is really think about how we can impact other areas really all over North America. And, I've got agents that I've partnered with in almost all 50 states now. And it's amazing because the leverage and the scalability that this platform gives us enables us to deliver a super high value proposition. In fact, you might recall that Glenn said at one point that his mission in life was to deliver so much value at the brokerage that it would be irresponsible of an agent to hang their license anywhere else. So that's the level that we play, and this is NFL. I mean, we are, it's on like Donkey Kong, as we like to say, and so we're out there. But the reality is that the proof is in the pudding, and you're growing your team and your footprint and you're able to impact the lives of a lot of other people now. And as I like to say, you and I and Greg have focused a lot recently, and we're going to focus more on leadership and self-leadership. And, the goal here being to have leaders develop leaders underneath them. And that's the true vision of scalability. If you can get people out from underneath that glass ceiling, which is the traditional team model, which is broken, no question about it. I'm sorry. It is no longer about setting up a team in the traditional method. If you do, you are cutting your nose off to spite your face. And the reason is because retention needs to start day one, and you've got to give people the opportunity to self-actualize and to be the best that they can be. And if you're not providing that kind of an opportunity for people who are under you or working with you or your partners, then you are at a severe disadvantage in the real estate game at this stage. Wouldn't you agree with that, Patricia?
Absolutely. It's 100%, the issue with the old brokerage model. And then, you've got all these bricks and mortar organized or offices, and they take a tremendous amount of money to run, right? So there's you just put turning the lights on, having cleaners, all of this kind of stuff. And none of it's really increasing the bottom line of the agent or the broker. It just means that everybody's got to produce more to pay for this thing that isn't actually increasing everybody's bottom line. So I think that it's important to remember, and kind of going back to agents and where their time is best spent. Really, their time is best spent in the field. And I think if you've got technology supporting your agents to be more effective in the field, to help them do video previews, to help them get into showings, at the drop of a dime, so that you can be out with a client, they see a house they really love, and you can get into it faster and before everybody else. I know our market's really competitive, so if we can get people into properties faster, we're giving our clients a competitive advantage with stuff like that. So the more technology that we have that's actually helping agents do their job better in the field, the better off we are, the better we can service our clients, as opposed to just worrying about certain things that maybe isn't helping the industry at all.
Wow, I couldn't have put that any better. And I'm just going to maybe take off on that a little bit and just add, the technology is really important. I'll say that proprietary technology is not always the best. And I can promise you that just because it's proprietary doesn't mean it's world-class, best of breed, or anything else. And so you have to be very careful and selective about which technologies you want to develop yourself and which technologies you want to partner with. You're not going to be able to compete with Oracle on a database. I hate to say that, and that also comes down to like KV Core with us. To try to go out and recreate that wheel. The CRM business has been the holy grail of the real estate business forever, and everybody's tried to, to have a hand in it at creating the one thing that is going to take the place of everything else in the world, and it's not going to happen, unfortunately. We have too many islands of information, too many disparate systems. We've got 1,000 different ML. It's virtually impossible to do that. And at the end of the day, brokerages are really not what drives this business, is it? Isn't it really about the agents themselves, Patricia?
Absolutely. It's about the agents and empowering the agents so that they're not running around, like with their heads cut off, trying to figure out what they can do to service people better. It's about supporting them so they can be their best selves when they show up, and be present and be checked in and really be in service of the people that they're out here, that they're supposed to be working with and helping every day.
Amen. So I have a question for you, and I'm sure the audience would like to hear your input on this too. So we've been able to double your business every year for the last 3 years. What do you see? What are your future plans here? I know that since we've changed platforms and introduced a couple of new pillars of income into your business, including revenue share and stock now, that your vision of what you can become has gotten a lot bigger. Can you just I'm going to ask you to give us your BHAG. What's your big, hairy, audacious goal for the next 12 months?
Well, my BHAG for the next 12 months is to now double our agent count. So we were talking about doubling the business from the client side of the business, but now I want to double the business from the agent side of the business over the next 12 months. And that also means coming up with solutions that really empower agents. We've been big, like you mentioned, on the lead conversion training. It's like, having agents go out there and be loaded up with confidence. We train 4 hours a week on just handling objections, how to get that lead conversion up. Because if you're spending money to bring the leads through the front door, you want to make sure that you're converting as many of them as possible. And you want to make sure that you're going out there with confidence and saying the right things to people. So we spend a lot of time on that. We do 2 role play sessions a week. We do like a Tuesday night call night every single Tuesday where we all get together and we can all hear each other on the phones. And that just builds a great energy, a great culture. We're accountable to each other. We support each other that way. So now what we want to do is we want to expand that to a lot more agents because, like you said, there's a lot of lonely islands up there, and this business can be a lot of fun if you're surrounded by the right people. You got the right energy and coaching and training in the room. You can knock it out of the park.
I love the way you said it's kind of like spreading the love. And speaking of spreading the love, if you're out there in the audience, hit that heart button if you like what you're hearing today. Give us some likes, give us some love here. We're doing this for you guys. Patricia, we're going to take just a very, very short break. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you to stick around because when we come back, I'm going to talk about a specific tool that I know you used extensively in your business, and we're going to introduce this to the audience here. So give us just 1 second here. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then when we come back, you're going to hear all about my secret tool to really help you blow out your sales conversions on your next listing presentation and buyer conversion call. So we'll be right back. Righty. It's time to get back, folks, and here we are. And just again, I want to remind you that we have Patricia Kiteke from Victoria, British Columbia, all the way down. Man, I'll tell you what, that's a long way, but the internet brings us all together. This reminds me, we do our calls on Zoom, and we have training and stuff in the world virtually and so forth. It's incredible how this wonderful technology has been able to allow us to communicate, collaborate, and really develop a whole business model around being virtual. So what I want to do now, and Patricia, by the way, thank you again. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. We'll be in Orlando next week, by the way, so there will be no show. Unfortunately, I had booked that before we started doing the shows, but it's our shareholders meeting at EXP, and if you're going to be in Orlando, look us up because we're going to be there ready to talk. All right. What I have in front of me now, and those of you familiar with a tool called DISC will remember that there's a personality profile that you take. I think Tony Robbins actually offers his for free, and it's a great tool to help us understand behavior. And behavior in selling, and I'm going to ask C3 a little bit about this. He's one of the first things that we started talking about when he decided to get into the real estate business was how to develop your sales skills and so forth. And I know that we did quite a bit of study on DISC and how important it is to do a personality match. When you're making your calls and so forth, tell me how finding, matching, and mirroring and all that stuff plays into your ability to convert a call.
It's a great question. It's actually very important. I think it's a huge asset if you know what you're talking about and who you're talking to. As far as your body language, as far as how to approach them, and it really helps me get to that point of the conversion. So.
All right. Well, you said body language, and if you study NLP or the science of human communication, what you learn is that there are several things that impact, really 3, that impact your ability to communicate. And Patricia, I know you know what these are. Number 1 is the words that you use, right? And the words contribute only about 7% to communication. So if you're using email or text or anything like that without any type of tonality or where people can see you, you're only communicating to a very limited part of what your ability is. Now, if it's on the phone where you have tonality And if you can, talk to somebody, and boy, I'll tell you, Jordan Belfort, I know he was not a very admired guy, but he really perfected the art of converting people on the phone. And he has a great program, the Straight Line Sales Persuasion Method, once he got out of jail, that he created. And he's really, let me tell you what, I know what you're thinking, but listen, it's you can use these tools in a good way or in a bad way. And I always, I want to stress that you don't want to use these tools in a way to get in trouble or get anybody else in trouble. But learning how to communicate. So tonality represents about 38% of the quality of your communication skill. But what that leaves is, and the most important part, is your body language. And so body language is responsible for about 55% of your ability to communicate with somebody. They can tell if you're sitting like this, if you're open and so forth. And so when you're out in front of a customer, or a client, it is really important to understand the physiology of the conversation, and also to understand them and to understand how their mind works. And that's how you get into DISC. And Patricia, tell me, when you guys are hiring, and you have people do the DISC assessment, can you talk a little bit tell the audience how you use the DISC in your hiring, especially on the sales side?
Sure, yeah. On the sales side, it's really interesting because, you can have a wide variety of personalities that can go out and sell a whole bunch of real estate. But for us, the way we use the DISC is we try to understand, if we're hiring somebody that's a high D, then we actually, when we're coaching for lead conversion, or what to say when you're out talking to people, we actually have to train high Ds to slow it down and to actually check in with people. If you get somebody that's like a high I, you won't be able to shut them up. They'll just keep talking and talking for forever. I got some people in mind.
I got some high I know. A couple of tequilas, the I goes way up. I know. Yeah.
Right. But it's interesting because we're able to say to people, okay, look, you're a high D personality, so here's how you're going to have to react to people on the phone. Or on the phone, that's a big one for us, but in person too, at an open house. And it also allows us to help them understand the person they're talking to. So so for example, I'm going to use D because it's on the top of my mind here, but those people are going to want to drive and get to the point really quickly and just close fast. Where that's not going to work with somebody who's really analytical and wants to take the time to have a process and understand all the information and want to be given, a whole bunch of data to look at before they can make a decision. So we have to, let that D personality know not to get impatient, to be there and to be prepared for, somebody that's analytical or somebody who's bubbly and just wants to talk about how their family is doing and things like that.
Wow,
so it helps them understand each other and themselves.
You hit it. You hit the nail on the head. In a nutshell, I think that just really sums up what this is all about. So if you're in the audience and want to get a copy of this is my cheat sheet right here to behavioral selling skills. All you have to do is go to www.getcliffsnotes.com and you can download a copy. Patricia, we're at the bottom of our time here, and boy, yeah. We could this call. I imagine we could go on for a couple of days here, but unfortunately, Trelvis has got some business after this. He's got to take care of, right, Trelvis?
Oh man, look, I could listen to this all day though. Honestly, this is really good information.
I hope we're filling your cup.
Yeah. No, this is really good information. Honestly,
good. Well, hey,
but I will say this just before we go, because I know people see this stuff and they think, oh, I don't understand how it applies to my sales. And it's so crucial, because if you understand the person on the other end, you're going to know exactly how you need to show up so that you can maintain that person and, take them through the process, instead of headbutting with clients and thinking, oh, the clients just don't know what I want them to do. No, you have to understand how you can be of service to them.
And you know what, just to piggyback on that, if you can learn this stuff and internalize it, it'll even help your marriage and your relationships with your kids and your family, right? I'm telling you, it's really good. It's really amazing. Okay. Well, Patricia, again, thank you so much. It's so exciting to have you on our fourth show here. You are you are my hero as a coach, and I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to work with you and just see this tremendous growth and productivity that you've experienced. I mean, you're going to be in the Real Estate Hall of Fame here. I know it, and I'm just so excited to be a partner with you and have some small part in what's happening in your business and your lives. It's really an honor and a pleasure. And so thank you again so much for being on the show with us today. It's such a pleasure. We'll hook up again in person soon, and I can't wait. So much love from Texas all the way up to Victoria, British Columbia. And I'll also say thanks to my co-host today, C3, my son.
Thanks
Always
so much
great
for
to
having
have
me.
him. My golf buddy here just got off Preston Trails, and then also I can't forget my co-pilot back there that's keeping this thing flying. Travis, you are the man of the hour every hour, and we're so grateful to have you as a part of the show today too, and also my producer. You know who you are. And so if you would please, just everybody have a great rest of your week, and we're going to take a day off next week, but the show will be back the following week, and so we'll look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, we'll see you either at the top, how does it go, Jay, or from the top.